Linear regression and correlation. Learning outcomes. This work will help you to draw scatter diagrams, draw the linear regression lines y on x and x on y and work out their equation, and identify types of correlation and calculate the problem moment correlation. And what we're going to really do in this video is just use technology to find all of the above. Linear regression. When looking for linear relationships between two sets of data, we can plot what's known as a scatter diagram. So here we have the x and the y axis, and we have some data. We can notice by looking at the diagram here that we can see some sort of positive correlation. If it's going the other way, it will be some sort of negative correlation. The tighter the points make towards a line, is better the correlation. It is possible to draw a line called a regression line. There are two types of line. The one which is called y on x, which is in the examination, and another one which is called x on y, which is not in the examination, but it's very useful for when you're doing your project. First, let's consider the y on x regression line. If we go back to that data and we draw the y on x line, okay, what it does, it keeps the vertical distance to a minimum. Okay, so what it does, it tries to keep all these distances, the sum of them, to a minimum, but basically because some are above the line and some below, it does the sum of the squares of them, hence we get the name, the equation of the least squares regression line. Okay, this is written as y is equal to ax plus b, a being the gradient and b being where it intersects the y-axis. The other line is called the x on y regression line, and this does a similar sort of thing, but what it does, it keeps the horizontal distance a minimum. If you remember the previous slide, the distances were all vertical. Now they are all horizontal. Again, because some are on different sides of the line, we square, called the least squares regression line. If we draw them both on the same graph, it will look like this. That's the y on x, and this is the x on y. Notice the x on y is written x is equal to cy plus d. Note, both lines should pass through the means of both sets of data. So this point here where they intersect is the actual mean of the x data and the mean of the y data. It is possible to calculate equations of the y on x and x on y regression lines. There's some important formulae for this. Now at the moment we're just going to try and do it with technology, but I'm just going to give you the formula. The y on x regression line is of the form y is equal to ax plus b, and it can be calculated using the formula y minus y bar is equal to sxy over x squared xx minus x bar. Now it looks quite complicated, but this you know to be the mean of the y data, this you know to be the mean of the x data, this you know to be sx, the standard deviation, which you've done already. So if you square the standard deviation, you get a thing called the variance. Okay, this thing here is new, it's called the covariance, and we'll look at this in a different lesson. So sxy is equal to this, and we'll look at this in a different lesson, so we won't worry about it now. And the variance is calculated like that. Again, we'll look at this a lot more in more detail. The x on y regression line is of the form x is equal to cy plus d, and it can be calculated using this formula. x minus x bar is equal to sxy over sy squared y minus y bar. Again, it's fairly easy because this is the mean of x and this is the mean of y. Where sxy again is the covariance and sy squared is the variance of the y data. Again, we've got these formula. Again, don't worry about it at this moment, because what we're going to do first of all is use technology to calculate it. Okay, looking at this example below. Okay, we'll now look at using technology to do all of that with this example. In the table below are the results of 10 students in both their mathematics and physics examination. The teacher thinks there might be a relationship between the two. His hypothesis is a student who has mathematical ability also has ability in mathematics and physics. You might now want to look at the marks and see if you think there's any relationship. Now that data has been placed into an Excel spreadsheet which is on Edmodo, which you'll be able to get. If I first highlight the data and copy it, and then leave the thing, and then open up an autograph page, so I have up an autograph page, go to data and go to where it says enter XY data set. Click in here and then paste the data. And then press OK. Now if I wanted to make some nice axes, if I press this and now put equal aspect and then do appearance and set the grade to graph paper, I like my axis to be black, and then press OK, and I'll get the nice set of data. Okay. I can also, if I wanted to, label the axes. So go to labels, and in here change X to maths out of 100, and change this one into physics out of 100, and press OK. You'll see that the labels change on the axis. Right, that's the data. We can see from that data there is some positive correlation. If I select the data, so it's not selected, that's selected, and then go to object, I can get it to draw first of all the y on X regression line, okay, which I'm going to make red. So just click on the line, go to object, draw options, and change the color to red. Okay, and I can then go to text box. Whilst it's still on black, go to text box and you'll see y on X regression line, and we'll edit the font. We'll make that red as well. So edit the font, change the color here to red, press OK, and we've got a label there. Okay, and we'll put that up there, and with this little yellow thing here, if you grab it, it will just point to the line there. Okay, we'll need to move that over so we can see what it says. Okay, right, if I now select the data again, go to object, I can now press the X on Y regression line. Okay, I'm going to change that one to blue, so click it, go to object, edit draw options, and change the color to blue, press OK. With it still selected, so select it again, press the text box, okay, and we'll get the X and Y regression line, and we'll edit the font so that comes in the blue, same blue as the line. Press OK, and press OK. again we can take that arrow and then hook it round. Okay, and if we select the data again, okay, and go to object, and you see the one here, it says mean, so we mark on the mean. Okay, you can just see there a sort of green blob has appeared, so we'll select that. We'll change the object to let's make it dark green. Edit the draw option, make sure nothing else is selected as well, so we'll change that to dark green. Press OK, and while it's still selected, we'll press text box, and you'll see it got the mean, give you the actual means of both sets of data. So the mean for the maths score is 55.2, and the mean for the physics data is 53.2. And we press, we'll edit the font to green, which is green. Okay, press OK. Okay, it's sort of hooked to it, so we need to sort of move it one side or the other. Way to do that, just click it again and just select the anchor to point, and then we'll just move it over here somewhere. Okay, and we grab that and then we point that to it like that. Okay, so there we have a nice diagram of showing all the regression lines, x on y and the y on x regression lines, giving their equations and the mean using technology from autograph. So going back to the PowerPoint, okay, so I've just put that in my PowerPoint like that. Okay, so everything nicely labelled. Notice that here I have, oops, sorry. Notice here that the x and y regression line is expressed as x is equal to a number times y plus 1.3, so it's given around the other way. Now doing using the calculator, if I enter a spreadsheet, and if I do control menu and paste, it will paste the data in that I have already. I'm going to call this maths and this physics. Okay, if I now press that button on and go to graph, okay, if I click and add the variable here maths and click and add the variable here physics, you get the same regression line that I just drawn before. Okay, if you press now menu, number 4 analyze, and press number 6 for regression, and press number 1 show linear mx plus b, the other one too just writes it around the other way. Okay, it will give me the regression line which I just calculated using the autograph. Okay, just check that. So that's the autograph one, we just checked we've got the same thing there. Okay, if I go back to the spreadsheet and now do menu, statistics, stat calculation, whoops, just do that again, menu, number 4 for stats, number 1 for stat calculations, okay, and then press number 3 for linear regression. I want the X list as A, the Y list as B, so it's B, you have to press this control, okay, just leave the next one as F1 and press OK. Okay, so down here we have mx plus b, the value of m, which we just, same as the graph, 0.883, and plus 4.42. If we scroll down, we've got this one here, which is 0.946, which is called the correlation moment correlation coefficient. So it tells us how well the data is actually correlated. It's between -1 and 1, so you can see that's quite a good correlation. Okay, so we can get this from the calculator, and we've probably got some other data results down here. That's how, we don't worry about that for the moment. Okay, so we've got that sort of data there. If we go back to the PowerPoint, okay, so this is the Y on X using technology. These are the screenshots of what I've just done. Okay, and then we've got the equation. Now in the exam you're supposed to give your answer correct to 3 significant figures, so that's correct to 3 significant figures, and this is the value of R, which we got from the calculator. We get from this value. Don't worry about R squared, so it's this one here which you just can't quite see. Okay, so it's 9, 4, 5, and the 7 makes the 5 a 6. Okay, that's what you're supposed to be able to do in the exam. Okay, later we'll show you how the mathematics before calculating those numbers. I want to do the X on Y. Please bear in mind this is not in the exam, but this will be really good for your project. Give it some sort of meaning. If we press the on button again and select a new one of these, okay, and this time click here, but add the physics, and here add the maths. We've got it round the other way, okay, and then go to menu, number 4 analyze, number 6 regression, and again press number 1. Okay, it's written it as y is equal to 1.012 times x plus 1.35. You have to remember to change that y to an x and change that x to a y in order to get the equation right. So if we just compare that with the autograph, you can see there is x and y. So you have to remember to interchange them in order to get that equation. But the calculator can give you the equation. Okay, going back to the spreadsheet, and if we go to menu now, what we're going to do is calculate the figures for that. Okay, so we'll just go to menu 4, stat calculations, and again we're going to do linear regression mx plus b. Alright, but instead of what we're going to do, we'll make the x list now be the physics data, and the y list now be the, let's control that one, now be the maths data, and we'll press OK. It might want me to overwrite, but it hasn't. Okay, we can see now we've got the value of m and the value of b, which correspond with the x and y. Okay, again we'll get the same value of r, so we know we're right here, 0.946, so we know we're right here. Okay, so going back to the PowerPoint and looking at the X on Y technology, using the technology, these are the screenshots of what we've just done. Okay, so you can check this out. Okay, what we have to just remember is to interchange when we write down the equation using the we have to interchange, let's get rid of that, interchange the y and the x when we write down. Okay, so remember we have to interchange the x and y. We're writing down the x on y regression line, so we write it as x is equal to 1.01x plus 1.36. Remember we're using it to 3 significant figures. Okay, and we have this product moment correlation fit coefficient, which is the same as before. Okay, so that is about summarizing. That is to draw the 2 regression lines using both autograph and the TI calculator, and calculating the values of those using the calculator only. In a later lesson we'll actually do the mathematics behind it.